I always knew I wasn't the favorite. That much became clear the year I got a full scholarship to study architecture, and my parents called it a waste of time while throwing my brother a party just for making the soccer team. I was 17. I had just won a national design competition. My picture was in the paper. My parents clipped the article and used it to wrap my brother's birthday present. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video. They didn't even notice I had stopped eating dinner at the table, that I had started pulling double shifts at the campus library just to avoid coming home. My brother, Ethan, was their golden boy, captain of everything, tall, charming, athletic. Meanwhile, I was too bookish, too moody, and according to my mother, just too much of a burden to celebrate. It was the night before my final college presentation when everything shattered. I had come home to get a few things before driving back to campus. My parents were in the kitchen with Ethan popping champagne. I walked in holding my sketchboards, exhausted, anxious, and proud of what I'd built. "What's the celebration?" I asked, trying to sound casual. Dad didn't even look at me. "Ethan got a new car. We wanted to surprise him." A new car. A cherry red convertible parked out front with a big silver bow, and all I got was a bill for the utility costs they said I had racked up during winter break. I didn't cry. I said congratulations. I went upstairs, quietly packed the last of my model supplies, and on the way out, Mom called after me. "Try not to embarrass us tomorrow, okay?" The next morning, I won the top prize at the School of Design's final jury presentation. Professors stood. A few students cried. The director offered me an internship that very afternoon, an elite design firm in New York. My name was trending in the university newsletter. My peers congratulated me. My roommate's parents sent flowers. Mine didn't even send a text. That summer, I moved into a shared studio apartment in Manhattan. I ate ramen, worked weekends, and did everything from sweeping gallery floors to designing museum exhibits. No matter how many nights I cried myself to sleep, I never stopped working. I didn't have a choice. I had no fallback plan, no family net to catch me, just a dream and a refusal to vanish like they expected me to. And as for my parents, they kept posting about Ethan's promotion to assistant sales manager at a car dealership. One day, a friend from school messaged me, "Your mom posted about your brother again. She called him the pride of the family. What about you?" I laughed. Then I turned that laugh into fuel. 2 years later, I became lead designer for the firm's biggest high-rise renovation in the city. My name was printed on glossy brochures. I wore hard hats next to CEOs. I led tours with billionaires, and every night I passed that same car Ethan was gifted, parked outside a used dealership, already rusting. That's when I got the invitation. It was my cousin's wedding, an extended family event I had no intention of attending. But then I saw the location. It was being held at a private country club, a club I had just acquired as part of an architectural investment partnership, a club that now bore my firm's logo on the marble entrance. I RSVPd yes. And I had a plan. The drive up to the country club felt like a slow rewind of every humiliation I'd swallowed over the years. Every time my mom called me dramatic. Every time my dad sighed when I walked into a room. Every time they told me I'd never be enough. I didn't just show up. I arrived in a black stretch limousine, the windows tinted, my heels sharp enough to cut through glass. I stepped out wearing an emerald gown that had been custom-tailored by a designer whose storefront I had quietly invested in. The valet blinked twice when he saw me, then opened the door with a stunned, "Welcome, ma'am." The entrance was already crowded with relatives. I spotted Ethan near the bar, surrounded by the usual chorus of aunts who adored him. My mother turned toward the commotion, the limo, the flash of cameras, the hushed gasps, and for a moment, her face lit up like she thought a celebrity had arrived. Then she saw me, and her expression cracked. "Is that?" I heard her whisper to my father. He stood next to her, frozen, the champagne flute in his hand trembling just slightly. I walked past them without a word. Inside, the club shimmered with gold and white decor. I knew every tile beneath my feet because I had chosen them in the design renderings just months ago. The chandelier above had been my suggestion to the board. The layout, the lighting, the furniture, it was my work, my vision, and they didn't even know. As I made my way through the crowd, I could feel eyes turning. Cousins I hadn't spoken to in years stopped mid-sentence. People leaned in to whisper. And then came the voice I hadn't heard in ages. "Look who finally crawled out of her cave!" It was Ethan, smug, arms crossed, wearing a suit 2 sizes too tight and a grin that screamed arrogance. "I didn't know they let interns into places like this," he sneered. I smiled. "Oh, I'm not an intern anymore." He laughed like I'd told a joke. "Still playing with Legos?" Before I could answer, the event coordinator walked up behind me. "Ms. Brennan, we've prepared the private room upstairs for you. Would you like champagne while your executive guests arrive?" Ethan's face fell. "Ms. Brennan?" The coordinator nodded. "She's part of the ownership team now. This property is under her firm's brand." You could hear a pin drop. My parents, who had inched closer, stared like they'd seen a ghost. Mom blinked hard, then stepped forward with her rehearsed sweetness. "Oh, sweetheart, I had no idea you were involved in this place." I turned to her slowly. "Why would you? You never asked where I worked. You were too busy bragging about Ethan's commission bonuses." Dad cleared his throat. "There's no need to bring up the past. We're all proud of you." "Really?" I tilted my head. "Because the last time I checked, you said I was wasting my time in the city, that no degree could make up for being a disappointment." Silence. My mom laughed nervously. "That's just how we talk. Don't be so sensitive." But I wasn't angry. I was done being angry. "I'm not sensitive," I said quietly. "I'm successful. There's a difference." And then I walked away. Upstairs, the private room was filled with executives from my firm, my new mentor, and 3 influential real estate investors I had personally invited. I gave a toast. I signed contracts. I was even approached for a speaking engagement. The next morning, I sent an email to the club's board. All family bookings would now require full payment in advance. No exceptions. Later that week, I received a call. It was from my father. He asked, no, begged, if I could help them refinance the mortgage. Apparently, after a bad investment in one of Ethan's ventures, their house was at risk. He said, "You're doing well now. Maybe you could help your old man out. Just a little." I remembered the day he looked me in the eye and said, "Your degree means nothing next to your brother's work ethic." So I told him, "You called me the shame of the family. I'm just living up to it." Then I hung up. Months passed, but the silence from my family was louder than any apology they could have offered. Not a single call, not a message, just faint whispers through the grapevine. Ethan had quit his job, Dad was in debt, and Mom had stopped going to her beloved social clubs. Apparently, it was hard to brag about your kids when the one you ignored was the one succeeding. But none of that brought me peace. Until I received a wedding invitation. Not mine, of course. Ethan's. The card was lavish, ivory with gold embossing. Inside it read, "The Brennan family invites you to the wedding of their proudest son, Ethan Brennan, and the love of his life." There was no mention of me. No dear sister, no personal note. Just my name at the bottom of a mass-mailed envelope like a forgotten afterthought. But I RSVP'd, yes, and I had a plan. The venue was beautiful. Ironically, another property my firm had recently acquired. I didn't even need to call ahead. I simply walked in with confidence, flashing the same badge that had made CEOs pause. This time, I arrived not in a limo, but in a sleek, jet-black Tesla that bore the logo of my own investment firm. I wore a minimalist black dress that whispered power and revenge. As the ceremony unfolded, my parents sat in the front row, beaming with pride. Ethan stood tall at the altar, and as I stepped inside, my heels echoing on the marble, their faces drained of color. The whispers began again. Wasn't that the sister they used to ignore? Didn't she buy the venue? Wait, is she the owner? I took a seat in the back, quiet, unassuming, until the officiant cleared his throat. "There's been a small delay. It seems a signature was required for a vendor contract, and the property owner needs to approve the additional catering. He looked around. Is Noelle Brennan present? Every head turned. My parents slowly stood. My mother's face collapsed. Ethan's mouth opened, but no words came. I stood and walked down the aisle, not to bless the marriage, not to sabotage it, just to remind them I was the one they dismissed, the one they excluded, the one they said would fail. The room held its breath. I signed it, I said simply. You may proceed. Then I turned, met my father's stunned eyes, and whispered just loud enough, I own the roof you're standing under. After the ceremony, I left early. No lingering, no drama. But at the exit, a young girl, my cousin's daughter, ran up to me. My mom says you're the smartest person in the family. Is that true? I knelt down beside her. No, sweetheart, I said with a smile. I'm just the one who stopped believing their lies. That night, as I looked out from my penthouse balcony over the skyline they said I'd never reach, I realized something deeper than revenge had unfolded. It wasn't about making them hurt. It was about showing them that silence, success, and self-respect were louder than their cruelty ever was. And as I sipped a glass of wine under a moon that had watched me cry countless nights, I smiled because the shame of the family had become its legacy, and they could never take that back. Please subscribe to our channel and tell us in comments from where are you watching this video.